next, Qasim Anadolu.
General, thanks for doing this. I have a follow-up and a couple of other questions. You said that you don't have concern about kind of breaks within the SDF because the Arab component and the Kurdish component of the SDF are currently working very closely. But we saw the same thing in Iraq. The Peshmerga and the Iraqi security forces were working very closely together, very coordinated. They took over Mosul. Peshmerga enabled the liberation of Mosul to a great extent, and now we see that these two forces are fighting each other. So what else do you have other than just your confidence or your just trust in the cooperation currently going on the ground, that these two groups within SDF, the Arabs and Kurds, would not take on each other?
Yes, so thank you very much for that question. Again, I think I mentioned earlier, so right now, Daesh has, the evil of Daesh has coalesced these groups, both Arabs, Kurds, both in Iraq and Syria, to fight together and work together. And I think that the relationships that they've developed over the years in this fight will bode well for the future. As I mentioned earlier, I have had the opportunity to meet the commander that was in Raqqa, and he was Arab. I have witnessed the effectiveness of that force, and they continue to be effective all the way down the Euphrates River Valley. Also in Iraq, I was fortunate enough to be at the meeting where the Kurds and the senior leaders and the Kurds and the senior government of Iraq military officials met, and I can tell you that I will leave it to the government of Iraq to talk to you about the specifics and the results of those discussions. But I think all Iraqis, both Kurds and Arabs, can be very proud of the professionalism and compassion and commitment of General Uthman, the Chief of Defense, and Minister Sinjari, the Minister of the Pesh, and the character and wisdom that they displayed throughout those discussions over 2 days to work very hard to come to an agreement that would limit any more Iraqis fighting Iraqis. And that agreement has held for a few days here, and I think we have great optimism that it will continue to hold into the future.
And then, as you have worked with SDF so closely, can you acknowledge, or have you seen any kind of trace that the YPG, a significant component of SDF, has ideological connections with PKK?
Thank you for that question, and obviously that is a concern for many folks, but I have seen no connection between the SDF and the PKK, and we have worked very closely with them for over 2 years. And so we have not seen any evidence of that. Obviously, the United States does not support any terrorist organizations, and so we continue to support the SDF because we have not seen any connection to any terrorist organization.
You said you have seen no evidence, but during the liberation of Raqqa, the YPG displayed the Öcalan's pictures, the PKK leader, and also dedicated the liberation of Raqqa to the PKK leader. Isn't that an evidence for you to consider that there is a connection between, or ideological connection between, YPG and the PKK?
I do not think you're speaking about the formal press conference from SDF leaders and RCC leaders that declared the liberation of Raqqa. During that ceremony, I do not think there was any reference to any terrorist organization or terrorist leaders. While we are aware of some symbols of divisiveness, both in Syria and have been displayed in Iraq in the past, we do not support those, and we do not believe that either the government of Iraq or the senior SDF leadership sanctioned those the display of those symbols.
One last question. According to a mutual agreement between the coalition and Turkey, the YPG, the SDF, the YPG component of SDF would leave Manbij. But according to the military, Turkish military sources, the YPG elements have not left Manbij yet. Do you have anything to say, to share with us why they have not left yet, and why are they there? What is the reason?
What I can tell you about our relationship is with Turkey and especially the military, the TGS, the Turkish military, is that we have a very transparent relationship with them. We communicate with them routinely about all that we're doing in our campaign and our relationship with the SDF. And we have communicated at those levels, and they understand exactly what truth is, and so we've expressed it in those channels, and I feel comfortable that they're satisfied with those responses.
Next.